This is Whether or Not.
Yeah, welcome into Whether or Not, the inaugural episode. I am WMBF First Alert Chief Meteorologist Jamie Arnold.
And I'm meteorologist Andrew Dockery. This is a weather show completely designed for you, and hopefully with the help of you, we'll be able to have some fun here as we bring you this daily. Going to be a fun time.
It is going to be a fun time, sort of a non-traditional weather type of program. We're going to be covering all things weather happening here in the Carolinas, happening across the country, happening across the globe. Kind of taking a deep dive and giving a little bit more than just the regular forecast.
Yeah, the trading wheels are coming off. We have no green screen to work with, and let's see how this goes, right?
Let's jump right into it. Let's talk about the top three things we are tracking here on this Wednesday. And number one, still no rain.
Yeah, still no rain. The warmth obviously continuing, and then do we get a last hoorah in the tropics? That's going to be something I think we need to watch.
It is starting to look like that. Let's jump into that rainfall, though, as we are now on day number 26.
Yeah, 26 and counting. The question is, how far can we go before we get the keyword measurable rain? Sprinkles are not going to cut it. You'll notice it's the 10th driest spell here in Myrtle Beach. And I think some of these are going to be in jeopardy here, Jamie.
Yeah, I think we easily go 27 days, 29 days, potentially even 30 days before we see any measurable rainfall. I don't think we're going to make it to that number one spot of 46 days back in 1943, as it does look like we may finally start to get into a little more active weather pattern as we work our way into the start of November. But for now, those rain chances are awfully slim.
Yeah, a strong cold front's going to be coming in. Once again, it's been a dry cold front that looks to be on Sunday. That will cool us off. I think the big story for Sunday is a few more clouds and maybe an isolated shower or two at this point.
A shower or sprinkle, and again, not looking at any measurable rainfall, but it's really been an incredible stretch across the Carolinas of rainfall or lack of rainfall extremes going back just through the past couple of months. The Carolinas have so far, since August, seen 3 20-plus inch rainfall events.
Yeah, 20-plus inch of rainfall events. We're talking about Helen. How about also, don't forget, up in Carolina Beach there in September, when we were talking about Debbie on the eastern side. And what's so crazy is you have one system on the western side of the Carolinas, one on the eastern side, and now here we are. We can't buy rain to save our lives.
Yeah, can't get a drop. Look at Myrtle Beach. June, we had a paltry 1 3/4 inches of rainfall. That's back when we were in that summer drought. Jump ahead to August, we picked up nearly 14 inches of rain in August. And October, again, not a single drop of rain. The other thing we're talking about is that warmth.
Oh, man, let's talk about it. The warmth continuing. If you're a fan of warm weather, you're not ready for fall, today and tomorrow have been perfect for you. Then we'll go into Friday, the first of 2 cold fronts coming in. That's going to make it feel a little bit more comfortable. Temperatures in the low to mid 70s, and that humidity, it remains low through the end of the week.
It certainly does. And then we'll round things out here with your tropical update, where as we were talking about the Caribbean, as you head into late October and November, tends to be a little bit of a hot spot. That's sort of where you typically see the tail end of the season firing up, and the overall pattern and the forecast models hinting at something maybe getting going down in the Caribbean as we finish up the month of October.
And I think as we go toward the end of October, it will remain quiet for now, but I do think we'll eventually have a chance of development, more than likely, as we transition into November.
Yeah, we certainly will. Let's talk about, though, Helen, the aftermath of Helen here as we kick off our Coast to Coast segment. And coming up Friday will be 1 month since Helen impacted the Carolinas with those devastating impacts. Power outages finally coming down, but there's still a couple of spots. Yancey County and Mitchell County, they're down to 5,000 power outages. The thing is, though, those 5,000 outages likely to keep going for another month or two. Those are some of the hardest hit areas. Let's talk about some of the good news, though, coming out of Western North Carolina. That is Biltmore Estates.
And they're going to be opening, and they've already announced soon for the holidays. The best time, if you've never been to Biltmore, go for Christmas. I think this is going to be exactly what Western North Carolina needs in a time where it has certainly been rough.
Yeah, Christmas at Biltmore certainly is an absolutely beautiful thing to experience if you've never done that. They're going to need that tourism dollar, that tourism industry there in Western North Carolina. You got to be kind of careful about it, though. Some spots of the western parts of the Carolinas you don't need to go to, but places like Biltmore, they're getting those places up and running so that you can start bringing in some of that tourism dollars.
Yeah, and once again, it's going to be a little bit of a trick, but if you can get into it, go enjoy it. It will help them out. Speaking of some of the trick is, what do they do with some of the interstates? I-40 going to take billions to repair as we once again see the significant damage continue to come in all across western North Carolina, Jamie.
Yeah, I-40 obviously remaining closed after huge sections collapsed into the river. Other sections completely blocked by landslides, and the latest estimates coming in now, potentially a couple of years to get I-40 reopened and a couple of $1 billion. There has been some emergency funding sent there to get at least a few lanes of I-40 open, even if they're just gravel, just to kind of get that huge thoroughfare back up and running. The issue is, though, do you rebuild it where it was, or potentially an entirely new route around that area that was so heavily damaged there from Helene?
A very popular route indeed. Let's go ahead and take it out west, shall we? We go to Roswell, New Mexico. If you missed it over the weekend, we were talking about, unfortunately, deadly flash flooding. More than 5 inches of rain fell quickly there in Roswell, and as it did, there were hundreds of rescues. As of this morning, more than 500 people in New Mexico, yeah, they had to be rescued, and the scary part about it, it was in the middle of the night when all this was happening. The flooding got so bad, and people are not accustomed to this weather as much. They actually had to get on top of roofs to be rescued. The convention center there in Roswell, New Mexico, completely submerged underwater, and they were rescuing people basically all night, and they continue to repair there. Just shows you with that dynamic low pressure system and the significant flooding, it's not only us here on the East Coast that are dealing with some of the tragedy, but also in New Mexico as well, Jamie.
Yeah, 5 inches of rain there in Roswell, New Mexico. When you're in a desert, 5 inches of rain will certainly lead to major flash flooding. Good news is, though, as we continue on with our Coast to Coast segment here, things are nice and quiet across Roswell, New Mexico, and the rest of the desert Southwest. And as expected, it's warm out there. Those temperatures in the 80s and 90s across Texas. We're not the only ones with that unseasonably warm weather. Yeah,
warm weather, high pressure continuing to bring in the warmth. Let's take it over to the Midwest, shall we? You'll notice once again that low pressure system bringing some snow even to portions there of Wyoming, but we're going to look at that system to work its way to the east. Temperature-wise, clouds will begin to keep some of those areas a little bit cooler, like in Minneapolis. Temperature is going to be in the 60s, but you'll notice that warmth. Yeah, Kansas City, 81 for your forecast tomorrow.
Yeah, let's take you off into the northeast where things here are also pretty quiet. That's the thing about late October. It can tend to get really quiet, and that's exactly what we're seeing. Notice those clear skies. If you're checking in on your family back home in upstate New York, Pennsylvania, New Jersey, the Big Apple over to Boston, all looking pretty quiet. Big storm system offshore tomorrow, but not going to be an issue. And a little bit cool up there, 50s and 60s, but pretty much on par for this time of the year there for New England.
Yeah, we take it back, of course, closer to home. You'll notice for our area, it's been nice and quiet. The rain-free stretch continues. We'll get some showers as we head into the weekend, but you'll notice tomorrow, yeah, more of the same. Bright skies. Temperature-wise, you'll notice as we go into that forecast, we're looking at the 80s in portions of Alabama and Georgia. How about 87 in Fort Myers? Meanwhile, 83 in the low country and a nice 78 degrees once again here at home.
Yeah, for sure. Let's talk about the West Coast finally, where things are also pretty quiet there. A little bit of rain, a little bit of snow moving through one of my favorite states to visit up there in Wyoming. That begins to taper off, though, as we head into tomorrow evening. That's where we also see some of the cooler temperatures sitting into the 40s and 50s there. But notice as you head down to Palm Springs, yeah, flirting with 100 degrees. Let's check out yesterday's weather extremes.
Yeah, how about this? Let's start with the cold, shall we? Bynum, Montana. 12 degrees yesterday.
Impressive. Compare that with Rio Grande Village in Texas, making it up to 101 yesterday afternoon.
Bynum, Montana, just a fun fact for you, known for dinosaurs, some of the rarest dinosaur fossils you'll ever find. Also known for exclusive pottery. known to that area and regional, so maybe you need to visit. Small town, a lot of fun is their quote for Bynum, Montana.
And if it's 12 degrees in October, I can only imagine what it's going to be like in January. That sounds like my kind of place to visit.
Yeah, sounds fantastic. Speaking of which, a lot of people wondering about visiting or maybe heading out for trick-or-treating. Halloween coming up obviously next week. But how did Halloween start? That's the big question, right? Meteorologist Matt Bullock has that answer for you. Check this out.
A topic of discussion, but how did Halloween get started? Well, most scholars believe the idea of Halloween started roughly 2,000 years ago in what is now called Ireland, the ancient Celtic festival known as the Samhain Festival. It was the mark that the summer and the harvest season was over, and it was the start of the new year. During the winter months, many deaths occurred. The Celtics believed the night before the new year, the boundary between worlds of the living and the dead were blurred, and the ghosts would roam the earth, cause trouble, and damage their crops. So the Celtics would light large bonfires, carve jack-o'-lanterns into turnips, and wear costumes to scare off the ghost. In 43 AD, the Roman Empire conquered the majority of the Celtic territory, and then a couple years later, by 609 AD, Pope Gregory III made November 1st a time to honor All Saints. They called this All Saints Day and incorporates some traditions that we saw from the Samhain Festival. By 1000 AD, the Christianity spread throughout the Celtic land, and the church made November 2nd a day called All Souls Day, a day to honor the dead. It will be celebrated similar to the Samhain Festival with large bonfires. People would dress up into costumes like saints, angels, and devils. And then later that year, the church moved that festival or that holiday a day before Saints' Day. They call this All Hallows Eve, which is eventually the name that we know Halloween today. So let's fast forward in time. Irish immigrants would move across America and bringing their Irish traditions with them. By the 1920s, the idea of Halloween became more community-oriented with town-wide celebrations and parades. And by the 1950s, Halloween became commercialized, became more kid-friendly, and is the Halloween that we know today.
Let's see.
You got all that?
Year 600 AD.
It's going to be
History.
a quiz. It's going to be a quiz. We're going to cover everything on whether or not, even a history lesson on Halloween.
There's the knot. Let's talk about Halloween and maybe something we know a little bit better, right? They get started. All the events get started. We're taking Brooks to the Pelicans ballpark.
Yes.
Forecast looks fantastic for it, too. Temperatures in the 70s for the Pelicans trick-or-treat. Heads up, if you're going out to this, you do need a ticket. The tickets are free.
Yep.
You get them on the website. But it's always such a fun time.
It really is. All the kids get to be right out there on the field trick-or-treating. So many people setting up so much candy. We're going to be there as well. I'll be doing my live weather out there coming up Friday evening and also giving out candy along with plenty of other folks here from WMBF News. We also have another big event going on this weekend.
I love this event. The Jeep crawl in the mornings.
Yeah.
You get to see them line up and down the beaches. Of course, obviously, it's the Myrtle Beach Jeep Jam. The forecast is fantastic. Tops off, obviously, as we go into Friday and Saturday. And then, once again, clouds with just an isolated shower. At this point, I think, though, it is lovely. Most people, Myrtle Beach Jeep Jam, think a little bit of humidity. There's absolutely none for this upcoming one, which will be great.
Not at all. We also have another one coming up on Saturday. This is the Surfside Beach Golf Cart Parade, their Halloween Golf Cart Parade. That one going to be starting at 3 o'clock. And Saturday, certainly the warmest day of the weekend with those temperatures into the upper 70s. So if you are heading down there to Surfside Beach in that golf cart parade, certainly going to be beautiful weather, sunny skies, low humidity, no humidity really, and on the warm side.
Also, golf cart parade, that is how we do it here in the Grand Strand.
That's right.
Conway last weekend, Surfside this weekend, and the way they decorate it is what I love the most.
It is absolutely amazing. All right, let's jump into our new segment here. See it, snap it, send it. This is where we want to see and highlight your pictures and your videos from fun, beautiful events and weather all across our area. Let's start off here with David. It was a beautiful view last week. Look at this. David Garcia capturing the super hunter's moon that was rising last week there over Cherry Grove. And just what an absolutely beautiful shot.
There is nothing better than a moonrise when you get
Yeah.
these full moons and you get it up over the Murrells Inlet area, Garden City, and you get a view like that. First, to have the timing,
Right.
but to have the visibility also in the camera lens to get that. David, thank you so much. How about this? Let's go over and show you Compass Cove. This coming from Ann Bowers. How about the clouds moving through, but also that sun dipping in to create the perfect sunset. We've had some fantastic sunsets. We've always said a little bit of cloud cover can go a long way with those sunsets lately, Jamie.
And that was certainly beautiful out there. A lot of spooky season colors and the moonrise and that sunrise and sunset out there earlier this week. Let's talk about how you can send in your pictures. And again, simply scan that QR code for See It, Snap It, Send It. That will take you directly to where you can send in those photos. And again, we'll be highlighting those here on Whether or Not. And we want to see a lot of them.
A lot of photos, obviously. Photos, you're the eyes for us.
Yeah.
I always say it out in when we're in the studio, you're out there in the field. So send it our way. Also, a big shout out to the crew to get us here today.
Yeah.
Our producers, Anya Carney in the back, also meteorologist Jenna Greenhill, Sarah directing.
Yeah.
There's a lot that goes into this, and we're still learning the ropes.
We're still
too.
learning, but you know what? We want you to be here with us as we kind of figure out how to do this thing. And we also want to hear from you. Is there something that you want us to talk about? Is there something you want to learn about? Make sure you let us know, and we'll cover it. We got time to cover it on this show. We're sort of free to do what we want.
Yeah, you know what's weird?
Yeah.
We're going to see you tomorrow on Whether or Not.
Wow.
It's going to feel really weird. We'll see you soon.